Welcome to the Modernize or Die podcast, CFML News Edition, where we keep you up to date with everything going on in the Cold Fusion community. We'll share the latest news on events, releases to engines, frameworks, libraries, and tools, as well as spotlighting quality content from the community. Welcome to the Modernize or Die podcast, CFML News Edition. It's episode 219, and it's September 2024. So, welcome everyone that can join us live. If you're listening to the podcast later, hello. And I'm joined by Daniel Garcia. How you doing, Daniel?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to fall. Isn't it crazy? It's already fall.
It is. This year zip past. I believe it's going to be October very soon.
I know.
And that means we've got a conference. So for those who'll be there, we'll see you at CF Summit next week. So we're excited to be out there. But let's get on with the show, and we'll tell you what else has been going on lately. First up, though, let's just thank our sponsor, Order Solutions. Without them, we wouldn't be able to do this. And obviously, Order Solutions, the maker of ColdBox, CommandBox, ForgeBox, TestBox, and even BoxL now.
BoxL.
Yep.
And if you don't know what BoxL is, we'll tell you in a little bit.
Yep. But yeah, a few ways you can say thanks back to Order Solutions. Obviously, there's some free ways and some paid ways. One of the ways you can financially get back is by buying some tickets into the box in DC next year. So Washington, DC 2025 into the box. It's going to be April 30th through the 2nd. So if you buy some tickets, that will be obviously supporting us. And if you're watching this, like and subscribe to our videos on YouTube. And that way you can keep up with the podcast, get notifications whenever we do it. And obviously it all helps out there. And up on GitHub as well. We have a lot of repos, and a lot of other members of the community have their own members. And if you use this little tool called CommandBox-GitHub, it'll help you star and fork all the repos that are in your project. So if your project's using 4 or 5 different modules, it'll help you automatically sort of star and fork those repos. So it gives everybody a little bit of love, a little bit of help.
Yep. And then you can also subscribe to our podcast on your podcast apps and leave us a review. Say, hey, it's, good to see you guys. You can also sign up for a free or paid account on CFCast. That's cfcast.com. That's our e-learning site with lots of content. A lot of it's free and some of it's paid, but you know what? There's a lot of good stuff for everybody. You can buy some merch from our BoxLife store. I've got some different, I think my favorite merch is probably my CommandBox Server is Up shirt.
Yep.
I really like that.
That's a pretty cool shirt for sure.
And then we have some books out there. 102 ColdBox HMVC Quick Tips and Tricks in Gumroad. It's also on Amazon. And then the Learn Modern CFML in 100 Minutes. It's free online, or if you want to, something a little more tangible, you can buy an ebook or even a paper copy.
Yep, and we'll have some paper copies and hardcovers, I believe, at the booth over there in CF Summit. I know that those who are coming to our workshop might be getting one as part of their package. So if you're thinking about maybe going to the workshop before CF Summit, might be a good reason to go there too. Okay, and we also have Patreons. So our Patreon supporters are doing a great job to support us and the language. And so right now we have 58 Patreons at patreon.com/ordersolutions. And if you guys do jump on that, you'll be able to see all the different plans that we have, from little teeny tiny ones to really big ones too. So we appreciate everyone who's supporting us financially there. And we'll tell you a little bit more about that at the end and some of the other perks and some of those top Patreon supporters, because there's too many to read now, because this is meant to be a 1-hour podcast, not a 5-hour podcast.
But that's a good problem to have.
Yep, for sure. And we appreciate each and every one of them.
Okay, I think I got caught up with all the links. Good. Okay, good.
Okay, so let's move on to news and announcements. And the biggest news and announcement probably for the last little while is on September 10th, Adobe release Cold Fusion 2023 Security Update 10 and Cold Fusion 2021 Security Update 16. And so there's basically one security bulletin. It's fixing one critical vulnerability, so it is a big fix, not just an updated security vulnerability has been fixed. So please go ahead and get that updated. Now Steve Freitag has a cool little post on his site now, which is actually sort of announcing all the security updates as they go and lots more links. And so Daniel's pasting a couple of links here.
Do I should paste them all, or
We don't need to paste them all, but yeah, there's basically some really good links available, and obviously on the forum website, which I'll post right now, some good information there. There's a lot of good stuff out there you guys can track down, but most importantly, it's a critical vulnerability, so we need to get that patched and for your own safety.
I was trying to find Pete's blog, and I don't see it offhand.
Yeah, so his blog post, I'll have to grab it here shortly for you guys, but yeah, basically he's just trying to keep track of the security updates with all the links relative to it, sort of like a quick, easy security page with all the Adobe updates. So
I just found it. Let me post it. Oh, you
cool.
just no. Here you go.
Nope.
Yep, that has all the same links we are just talking about, the different knowledge base articles, forum threads, everything. When in doubt, go look at Pete's blog or Charlie Earhart's blog.
Yep.
And they have all the stuff that you would ever care about.
For sure.
If they don't have it, ask them and they'll add it.
Yeah. And that's kind of a cool way. I think Pete was, again, trying to keep track of it all. So one page, it was sort of easier to keep track of it all together. So it's a good idea, Pete.
Charlie's blog as well, because I already see he's got some articles up there.
Okay, next up we have CF Camp Save the Date, and I think the last time we did the podcast we heard there was a date update, but we couldn't find it. I think we did find it in the end. So it's May 22nd, 23rd of 2025. It's going to be at the Thomas Hotel in the Munich airport. So it sounds like they've changed hotel, but still near the Munich airport. So if you guys are up for travel, May 22nd, 23rd, CF Camp. It's always a great conference, and yeah, it looks like they've moved it out of the June time, out of the holiday travel time, so hopefully prices will be a little easier for people to get over to Germany to attend that.
Yep, so I just posted the link out there. Is there a call for speakers open yet?
I have not seen it yet. I know they've got a lot of stuff coming out soon. Yeah. But speaking of early, we do have our call for speakers open. We're trying to get things lined up a little sooner. So Into the Box 2025 call for speaker is open, and you got about a month left. So it's closing November 1st. We're trying to get everything done before end of years, because a lot of people need to know who's going to be speaking and plan everything out for budgets and everything else. So our goal is to get everything finalized in advance of that closing budget. So if you guys are thinking about speaking, or if you've spoken at other conferences, please put something in for Into the Box 2025. There are some nice perks. You do get a free ticket to the conference. You get a couple of nights stay included as part of your speaking deal. And so it is definitely a good thing to have, and we like having new speakers and community speakers, because, you know, obviously you hear us speak enough, you want to hear some other people speak too. So it was good to see different perspectives and different use cases for our tools and the other CFML tools as well. So
we're back in DC. That was really cool. So last year was the first year we went to DC for Into the Box, and I liked it. It was a lot of walking, but I liked it. It was DC is a cool town and beautiful weather, and it was really neat. I liked it.
Yeah, it was very cool. It was very interesting to see the political landscape. We're somewhere and there was just a bunch of barricades and police cars and bikes everywhere. I was like, oh, someone important must be having breakfast there.
Yeah, very different. Or they knew you were riding around on your little scooter with Kurt.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, there's some cool places, some cool sights to see there and everything, and around the conference, and of course, great content as well, great people. So, yeah, looking forward to that next year. Hopefully, you guys can be there. And again, if you can or are able to speak, it just makes your trip a little cheaper, and yeah, you get to share some of your knowledge, because we can learn something for everybody.
It doesn't have to just be Cold Fusion. It could be Cold Fusion. It could be BoxLang. It could be anything web developer related.
Yep, a lot of people.
Side or processes or
Yep,
database or
yep. CI, Docker deployment stuff. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff out there that we look at. So, yep,
yep.
definitely looking
But not
for more ideas. So, if you got something worth sharing, let us know.
yep. There's I would think the only thing I'd say to keep in mind is we are a modernize or die company. And so if it's cool new things that are really cool, then yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well, so about new releases and updates. So, Fusion Reactor released 12.1. So, they're expanding horizons with Java 21 support and enhanced cloud integration. So they got a lot of cool stuff happening. Fusion Rector is, got a lot of great tools and it taps into the JVM at a low level, so you can really see what's going on and what's happening. And obviously they've built a lot around um, the Cold Fusion tools, but it works for JVM stuff too. So it's good for a lot of things, and they got a lot of cool features coming out. And I just heard they got SOC 2 compliance too, so they went through that process. And so some people that have to work with certain levels of data compliance and everything else, now they're SOC 2. So for those who know what that means, it's a big deal. For those who don't worry about it. It's okay. But yeah, so you find out more about their latest release there and what they're doing. But
Yep.
we've been busy though, haven't we?
We have, well, just really quick, talking about Fusion Reactor.
Hmm.
They've been around. I didn't realize this, but they've been around almost 20 years. I think next year will be their 20th year.
Oh wow, 20
And I
years.
remember using them like 17, 18 years ago at companies I was at. So that tracks.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't know that they'd been around that long, but I know that
Oh
you
yeah.
know.
I've used them a long time. And every company I go to, hey, Fusion Reactor guys.
Yep.
We're old. Giancarlo's, we're old.
Yeah, for
Yes,
sure.
Jim. Actually, I think I'm older than you are, man. I just had a birthday the other day, so I'm feeling it.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, it's a Giancarlo in the chat. But yeah, good to catch a live episode. So, but yeah, hopefully, are you gonna be out at CF Summit too, Giancarlo? Hopefully you are. We can say hi again. Always good to catch up.
Maybe. I think it'd be the same without him. Of
Yeah,
course, I could say that about a lot of people, but I will say that about him as well.
yeah, for sure. Oh, he's talking about WebSockets. There you go.
Cool. Box slang WebSockets. I have no idea. I want to
No,
throw a box out there
yeah,
as a keyword.
I don't think so at CF Summit. I probably have to behave. Oh, he's got a hurricane out there, so as long as he dodges that, so cool, cool.
Anyway, you were starting to say box slang, some cool developments. Why don't you tell us about it?
Yeah, so it's been a few weeks since we did the last podcast, and so we got quite a few releases out there. So again, every week we release a beta, and we're working hard towards getting to alpha and releasing this language. But um, like just for example, we got 9 new features fixed one week with 9 improvements and 8 bug fixes. Another week we had 5 new improvements. Sorry, 5 new features, 8 improvements, and 5 bug fixes. But lately we've been on a bug smashing spree, so we've been like smashing 20 bugs, 16 bugs, 22 bugs. So really trying to get rid of all those bugs, and we're still making those improvements. So looks like there's a lot of good stuff. So again, we're up to beta 15, just released on the 19th. Sorry, not the 19th. It would have been the 20th. Anyway, but yeah, just released last week, so we got a lot of cool stuff coming out all the time. And again, the links are up there and details of all the different features, improvements, and the bugs they're fixing. So jump on that and have a look. And again, in the BoxL Slack, there's a channel there we're talking about things as it happens as well. So a lot of cool stuff happening there. Working hard on all these changes, and the docs do have a really good release history as well.
Yep, I went ahead and posted that. The link to the release history too.
Very cool. So yeah, lots and lots of stuff going on there. Okay, well, let's jump to webinars, meetups, and workshops. And I saw a couple that had happened, but I couldn't find the links for them. But I did find this one, so we did miss the online Confusion meetup. So Charlie Earhart was talking about options for running Redis. And so for those of you that don't know. There was a big kerfuffle with Redis recently when they changed their licensing. We did cover that a little bit, but so there are some options out there. Valkey is one of them, which is the open source alternative. But so Charlie talks about, basically using Redis and a variety of alternatives and stuff there. So I have not had a chance to listen to this one yet, so I'm not sure if he goes into too much detail about all that drama, but Redis or a Redis alternative can be used with Cold Fusion, and he can show you how to get it up and running with Cold Fusion. So it's pretty neat that Adobe's been supporting it for like natively since 2016. So
I wonder, is there any other ones scheduled coming up?
I didn't see one scheduled on the list yet. I'm sure with CF Summit and everything else, it's probably keeping everybody pretty busy. So
Yeah, I'm going to post the link to his the online Cold Fusion meetup in meetup.com.
Yep.
Just so you can also, if I can copy paste, come on. There we go.
Technology.
Sorry,
It's always
having
a
issues
battle.
copying and pasting.
Yep. Yep. There's a lot of interesting stuff, and like Charlie said, over 300 workshops on the online CF meetup. And if you click on the link to go to his video, which is the most recent one, it's part of a playlist too. So there's a lot of content in there. We had a BoxL one with Luis and Brad from a little while ago, and quite a lot of other good content. So go check out some of those other ones. So
here we go. There's all his recordings.
Yep, and you can search for them and everything. So very cool.
How many times do you show up in here, Gavin?
I've only done a few, probably about 4 or 5.
Let's see.
Did have a lot where I was doing quite a lot for a while, but
I did a quick search and I'm showing you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times.
oh wow, a lot more than I thought. So
with the oldest one from 2013.
Really, dang.
I kind of want to look at that one to see how young you used to be.
Yeah, probably a picture from one of my old Disneyland pictures that look
good.
There too many, yeah, too many good pictures around, so gotta use the good ones over and over. Okay. Right. Well, yep. So Charlie's got a lot of good stuff. And again, we'll try and keep up and get you notified when things are coming up. But Seattle CFUG is on Meetup as well. There's a couple of ones on there as well. So if you're looking for Cold Fusion on the Meetup site, you can find some other good ones that are still pumping out some content.
Yep. Oh, I wanted to take a second to do a quick shout out to David Bellinger in the chat. Yep. He's late, which explains why he hasn't been poking us today, saying, "Hey guys."
Yeah.
Welcome, David. Hope everything's going well with you.
Yep. David's a fan. He's always like, "What? No podcast this week, guys?" So he's a gentle reminder that people out there listen and want to hear it. So we're being super busy. We're trying to get back on a schedule. Sorry, everybody.
Hopefully he'll be in the box again next year too.
Yeah, hopefully. It's always good to see David wherever we can. Okay, so CFcast is up next. So for those who don't know, CFcast has a lot of great content, and not just Cold Fusion content on there, but we have some JavaScript and we have some other stuff as well, even HTML, CSS, and JavaScript videos, and that's one of the ones that was posted recently. So yeah, we have a couple of ones that were released lately. Content box multi-site basic features and some pre-processing elastic documents. So we got a few different ones out there, and again, we got all the Into the Box 2024 on there. If you were an attendee, you can see that up on CFcast as well. So we're trying to keep the content flowing there. Again, we're working hard on the box slang stuff, so we're not quite pumping out quite as much as we have done in the past, but we're trying to get more and more content out there for you, and got some big things coming.
Yep. And in fact, you notice on some of the topics, we've got some development topics, some DevOps topics, some design. It's because Ortus, we do it all. Ortus, we've got a full design team, we've got a full development team that everyone knows, a full DevOps team, and we try to make content that kind of covers everything. And so, not to plug ourselves because, well, I am. If you need work, if you need stuff done, reach out. We can handle everything.
Yep, and then the other thing too is we're trying to provide videos for things that are needed too. So if there's something that you guys want us to dive a little deeper into, let us know and we can try and create some content for that. So
yep, absolutely.
Okay, so next up, Conferences. And so next week at a new venue, CF Summit West is in Las Vegas. So September 30th through October 1st for the conference, and on the 2nd is the Adobe Code Fusion certification. We're going to be at Resorts World. So I have not been there. I've heard some good things about it, but I guess we'll find out next week what it's going to be like. So
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things. Mark talking to Mark a while back, and it's a really nice venue. It's a little further up the strip than where the Mirage was, so you can't just like walk out and cross the street and like see all the stuff. But it's pretty nice.
yep, very cool. I think your audio might have cut out a little bit, or we're having some audio video weirdness going on, but it's okay.
Okay, now
Yeah, I think it's just the video's a little delayed, but it's okay. Not everyone's watching anyway. But yeah, so
who's watching?
yeah, got a couple people watching, but it's all good. So we do have some artist people that are going to be speaking. So we just have a couple of sessions this year. So Luis Mahano is going to be speaking about modern functional fluent REST, and this is a good way to learn a bit more about maybe doing REST with Coblox and why we build it a certain way. And then Jacob Beers is going to be talking about out of the tar pit, a quick look at a deep paper. Wow. I didn't know that. I didn't actually read the title of what his session was on. So I guess he's talking about a paper written in 2006 called Out of the Tar Pit, and it gives developers new hope for tackling the growing complexity of enterprise level applications. Wow, this sounds very interesting.
We have to
Yeah,
ask Jacob. If you guys don't know, Jacob Beer is one of our newer Ortusians, Ortus peeps.
yep,
Uh, I'm not exactly sure when he joined within the last year, but he's been a fantastic addition to the team, bringing a lot of stuff, knowledge, enthusiasm, um, been a big part of the box efforts along with several others. And if you haven't met him, go say hi. Good guy.
yep, and I'll be out there as well. Me and Luis are going to be doing a workshop prior to the conference, and so um, if you want to find out more about that, hit us up. But we're going to be there September 28th and 29th, so the weekend essentially before the conference. And that way, some people that can't take that much time off work can make it out there for the workshop. And we'll be doing REST APIs for the modern developer, so you can find a lot about that there. So, again, the conference is the Monday, Tuesday, and if you want to do the certification, that's the Wednesday. If you come early, you can come and do the workshop with Luis and myself. So again, it's going to be a good time. We're going to have a few goodies to pass out as well, some stickers and everything. So come say hi at the booth if you're there. If you listen to the podcast, let us know. It's always good to meet people that listen to the show. So, and surprisingly, every year we go, we get a few more people, and they're not the ones that are in the chat. They're just the ones that listen every week and give us good feedback. So good to see everybody there. But we will be at the Bogota Exchange in Las Vegas for the workshop. So hopefully you guys can make that as well. I think we have a few seats left. I know that we sold a lot of tickets really fast, with down to the last 4 or 5. I'm not sure exactly, but if you're interested, I said reach out, let us know, or grab a ticket on Eventbrite.
Okay. I think I got that posted, right? Yes.
Yep.
Okay. We already mentioned it before, but we're going to mention it again. We're going to keep mentioning it because it's that important to us. Into the Box 2025. It's where, Gavin?
Washington, D.C.
It's when, Gavin?
April 30th, May 2nd,
Can they
2025.
can they get tickets now, Gavin?
Sure can. And there's actually some pretty good discounts for blind tickets. So
What does a blind ticket mean, Gavin?
that you have no idea who's going to be speaking, and you're still going to buy it
That's
anyway.
right. I'm
Yep.
just being silly. Because we've told you this many times already, I want to make it more interesting this time around.
Yep.
As I mentioned, the call for speakers has been announced, and we would love to have you submit.
Yep. And
Giancarlo, David,
yep,
everyone else.
I'll get the link posted in there for anyone who wants to jump in there. And then just a couple weeks later, as we mentioned before, CF Camp 2025 is going to be May 22nd and 23rd. And that's going to be at the
Yeah.
Thomas Hotel Unit Airport. And we'll give you more details when we find out. But go to cfcamp.org and find out some information about the 2024 one, which was another big success. So there's a lot of information on the site from that, so you can get an idea of the type of sessions and speakers, and they definitely have some good content for sure.
Yeah,
So
I want to get out there one of these. I don't think it's going to happen next year, just based on the timing. But one of these years, I'm going to get out there to that one, CF Camp.
yep,
And I know
I keep meaning to as well. It's always something comes up.
the wife really wants to go back to Germany too, and so she's going to be like, "Go to the conference, and I'll see you in 2 days." Okay.
Yep, for sure. It's definitely a good thing. And
It
David
is.
Bellin just said CF Camp was awesome. So
Yeah, I've heard really good things about it. I just timing and life.
yep, for sure. But if you're in the area, it's definitely a good one to get to.
And
Okay.
there's always, if you're looking for more conferences, because it's not enough, you go to comps.tech and there's a list of them. In fact, are we listed on there?
It's a good question. I'm not sure if we've submitted it for next year yet.
Oh man, I feel like I always ask this question and then look and go, oh, I don't see. Well, let me look for a summit.
Yeah, it's one of
I
those ones we
don't.
can make pull requests to get you added and everything else. So there's a lot of good content there for lots of different languages, different communities. Some in person, some online. So usually, if you're looking for content, you can find some there.
Need to make a note. We got to post to there because I don't think we're there yet, but we will be.
Yeah, we should. That way we
Oh,
can get the call for speakers up too. But okay, next up, let's talk about some blogs, tweets, and videos, and we have a lot. We're gonna try and skip over some of the ones we've already talked about, or some of the the lighter content. But there's a lot of good stuff in here, and if you want to dive deeper, obviously we'll share the links, and they'll be in the show notes when we post the podcast. So first up, we did have one from Fusion Rector talking about 12.1 being released, so we've discussed it a little bit. We did have one from Order Solutions on the 19th, so we just took I guess started giving some free tips. So we've mentioned several times about our 102 cold box tips and tricks. Well, now there's actually like a little blog session here. We're gonna have some free tips. So we're gonna give away, I guess, 10 free tips, and the first one is environment variables in config. And so if you keep an eye on our blog, we'll be releasing some of the tips from the book in a blog series. So the first one is out. So environment variables in the config. Again, it's really cool how your box to JSON, your server to JSON, everything allows you to use environment variables, so that way they can be dynamically rendered and generated, and it makes your development life much easier when you're developing locally in a team, and then you push to a server, and then you push to another server, and everything changes based on those environment variables, and it's very easy to use.
Oh,
So
absolutely. I first started at Ortis over 3 years ago. I knew what they were, but I never used them because my last company didn't want to. And as soon as it kind of clicked how I could use these, I was like blown away at how awesome this was for development.
yeah, it's definitely a big improvement. I mean, yeah, there's lots of stuff that I was doing before, and again, now I don't know how I could work without environment variables and just using command box in general, just all the little tools and tricks that it gives us. It's just hard to fathom. But anyway,
Yeah.
so that's the first one. Keep an eye out for more coming soon from that. We have quite a few from
I'm just talking about different things you can do to let's pull it up here.
I had an internet blip.
How you can minimize, attacks, how you can do things to improve your content delivery, all sorts of good stuff there.
Yep.
See the
So it's kind of interesting.
and have them separate as needed.
Yep. A lot of good.
Yep. Okay. Looks like we got another one from James Mberg, embed a full HTML DOM inline using the shadow DOM, which is something I never do. So what is that, Gavin?
Well, this is an interesting one. He basically tried to, embed documents using, iframes and everything else, but instead he's actually put it into the DOM, the shadow DOM, which is sort of like a hidden DOM you use for manipulation, and is actually using it there. It's really interesting approach to solving this issue, and that's why I've include a lot of James's, because he's always got an interesting tool or a weird approach, which just like I would never have thought of something like that. So always very,
Definitely
very
gets you to
different.
start thinking, outside of the box sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. And so yeah, so he's using the shadow DOM for generation and preview and stuff, which is really pretty neat. So
Okay.
yeah,
Next up, we got Nolan Irks obligatory. Hey, I'm going to be at a conference. This is what I'm doing. And if you go to that conference, you should definitely go see Nolan's stuff.
yep,
Nolan's a great presenter. He's been a great presenter for years, and he's still going to be a great presenter. And this topic is how to make a living as a Cold Fusion freelancer.
yeah,
And he's also involved in the certification workshops, and go to a session because you will learn stuff.
yep, for sure. Next up, we have a quick one on the Adobe portal. And so Vikram Kuma is talking about using Microsoft SQL Server with Windows authentication. So if you guys are using Windows authentication, or you'd like to with your Microsoft SQL Server, it's a quick little blog post on the settings and how to set that up. Now, we have another one here from James Moberg, and again, another interesting one. So he's actually got a little function that he wrote talking about how to search the output buffer for a string. So he's basically pulling in code from other websites, and sometimes they would be expecting a library to be loaded or not. And so basically he could, search the stream and see if jQuery was already loaded or not, and stuff like that. And so this little function just allows you to basically search for the buffer that you've already created, so the content of the page already, and see if something's already been loaded. If it hasn't, you can load it again. So it's kind of a cool little approach. Again, just different way to think about things, and got some pretty cool ideas. But the next three or four look like they're related, because I think James and Ben quite often get on Twitter and have little conversations. And so there's one that Ben released on the 12th about using canonicalize to render emojis inside of Cold Fusion. And it all comes down to basically Ben is using emojis because everyone loves emojis. But if you're sending emails, it doesn't always basically show up properly, because emails are sort of like normal text subjects and emojis aren't the characters that could be used. And so you have to sort of figure out how can you change them into entities or HTML entities. Not even HTML entities, because HTML entities won't show up in the subject line. So, but anyway, so using canonicalize, he's actually converts them to native entities or native emoji glyphs. And then James Moberg wrote a post about using a CFML wrapper for emoji Java, which is a library that helps you deal with this type of thing. And so it can help with converting emojis to HTML entities or decimal entities, or whatever. Because obviously HTML entities work great when you're in an HTML environment, but not when you're in a CSV or something like that. And so these are
One
all
end of
about.
all related.
Yep, exactly. So I probably was back and forth on Twitter, and then they just posted about it. So, but yeah, I didn't even think about using that. But I guess I'm old school. I don't use emojis on every subject line and every email and everything. Some
Dude, there are
people,
people that use emojis in Git comments or code comments. And I'm like, really?
yeah, and some people use emojis everywhere, man. It's like someone tried to name their kid an emoji, apparently.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was interesting. But yeah, so emojis are taking over the world. They've got their own movie, but anyway.
I
So
only made half of that movie and I had to stop watching it.
yeah, it's pretty meh. Inside joke for those who actually seen the movie. But anyways, so yeah, we also had a blog post from Adobe about their security updates. So we talked about that, and Otis had a blog post about if you're attending CF Summit, what to be on the watch from there. Because Otis is again going to have a booth. We're Silver sponsors this year, and we got a couple speakers, and we're going to be out there. So I have a blog post about that. If you want to find out more information, you can do that.
I'm
And
just
then
gonna keep posting, so you just keep going.
okay, yeah, no problem. And then we had a couple more from Ben Adele. So he was generating Lorem Ipsum text in Cold Fusion. And that got him thinking about how you loop through stuff and how you might want to change the step that you might do. In fact, it got him into another sort of mindset of, can you dynamically define for loops increments? So, for I equals 1, from 1 is less than 10, step by 1. So basically, we're saying, can I dynamically change that step? So every time I loop through it, it would change the step by a different amount. And you figured out you can do that by actually changing the value that you're stepping. You could use it inside, and this works in JavaScript and ColdFusion if you're using the var variable, because the var will hoist your variable, which is pretty interesting. And so he was talking about that, and they had a little conversation in the comments about how var is way better than let and const because it has some superpowers like hoisting. And some people were wondering why their variables weren't working right. And if you're not using var in JavaScript, it doesn't get hoisted. Let and const are different, and they behave differently. And so yeah, so interesting. Again, a couple more blog posts. We got a lot, so we are speeding through them. I apologize, but they were kind of interesting talking about that.
Post the last link, so go ahead.
Okay. And so we had a couple more from James Mberg. So one of them, he was talking about transforming TSV. So we always talk about CSVs, but tab separated values are pretty interesting too. And he's talking about using RETs, which is the real estate transaction standards, and basically how some companies had some different variations. And so he used, and again, James comes up with some pretty cool approaches, and he's using this command line tool called Miller. And apparently it's the thing to use. It's like awk and sed and everything for tab data, basically. And so he talks about using ColdFusion and that tool to go through and transform this data to make sure they're they're comparable and compatible, and get them into a format that he could use. So again, if you're using tab separated values, this might be a pretty cool article for you to read.
I feel like a lot of James's blog posts, like Ben's, it's like, it's kind of cool to read at the time, and then later on you run into that problem and like, oh, where did I see that? And then you find his blog, like, oh, that's how he solved it, and then kind of gives you a nice, jump start on coming up with a solution for what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, like the next one's a perfect example. Like, I don't know how often you need to figure out which, if you got a chunk of text, what language it is, but he talks about language detection libraries and APIs using Java and ColdFusion CFML. And so this one, he has all this different text, and basically the code, Java libraries, but send some text in, it will give you the language, which is pretty cool. Again, I don't need to use that often, but that'd be kind of interesting. And so he's talked about different ones he's used over time and how things have been, expired and stuff and no longer supported. But again, some pretty cool stuff. And I think it's just pretty neat that they can figure out a language from some random text you give it. But anyways, so we got a few other ones here.
Yeah, we talk about, I have blog entry from Mortis about choosing the right ColdFusion hosting solution for your needs. TLDR, contact us. We'll help you figure that out.
Yep. And obviously, that's a pretty important thing. And a lot of people are talking about, should you go all cloud? And then people like DHH are saying it's a ripoff, go all middle. And so there's a lot of people trying to do their own thing, VPS solutions. And yeah, so there's a lot of things out there. And really, it comes down to the age-old software development. It depends, right? So you look at your needs and figure out what's best. So Ben Adel talked about an interesting comparison method which violates its general contract. Long story short, he was using an array sort, but his sort callback operator basically wasn't always giving the same sorting order, and so he got this really weird error. And the error says comparison method violates the general contract, which is kind of strange. But so if you ever get one of those weird ones, you're going to type it in, you're going to find Ben's blog post, and you're going to figure out that your method that sorted it wasn't unique enough. It wasn't always giving back the same response. So it can't sort it if it's randomly rearranging items, I guess. So again, weird ones that Ben writes that you one day track down and go, oh yeah, I remember that now. And then James Mberg, again, if you ever have a pre-1995 Excel 2 worksheet, yes, they did have Excel way back then too, but basically talks about, how do you solve a problem like that? It's like, this sort of thing is, how do you problem solve how do you solve a problem you don't know how to solve? Turn into a problem that you do know how to solve, like break it up and attack it. So that's him working through some weird options for doing that. But
Well, you know that he was working on a project. We had to do this.
oh,
It's like,
totally.
let me just blog about it. Next time I'll remember how to fix it again.
Yep, exactly. And there's always a tool that allows you to do this or that. And like I said, James, he always has some interesting use cases and interesting little tools. And I mean, I love talking to James, and I'm gonna try and catch up with him at CF Summit again. But he's always got some interesting approaches to things, and yeah, so it's always good to check out his stuff. Like I said, not always perfectly applicable to what I'm doing, but it's always interesting, and I like the different way to solve these problems. So
Yep.
yeah,
And then the last couple from Ortis, basically our August newsletter. I'm just
yeah,
kind of saying what's new and exciting around Ortis solutions. And then security best practices for CodeBox REST APIs. I'm going through how to implement robust security measures to prevent unauthorized access and protect sensitive info. Here's a little hint. Use CodeBox, use our REST HMVC techniques, and you'll go a long way towards writing easily secured APIs.
yep. With
We really try to
CB
make it
security, yeah, for sure. Add CB security in there, and you can do a lot of interesting things. And again, we'll be covering a lot of these things in the workshop. If you're looking at building a REST API, a workshop before CF Summit, it's a great place to be.
Yep. But in the meantime, just know that we use CB security for all our stuff. A lot of our clients use CB security. It's a good approach.
Yep, and there's a lot of different pieces in there too that can tweak it to make it work the way you need to work. So, and then we have a BoxL Corner, which a lot of these we've already covered, but we'll just highlight over the different pieces. So we got a blog about beta 15 being released, but we also have a blog post with a little bit more detail about introducing numeric placeholders for BoxL source. So you can find out a bit more about that. And we had beta 14 was released. And then we had another feature sort of highlighted, functional binding to member methods. So that allows you to actually make method referencing even easier, smoother. So you can statically bind to built-in functions, which is pretty cool for member methods. Beta 13 was released. Beta 12 was released. We also had a BoxL newsletter. So if you want to catch up on everything that happened in August in BoxL, which is quite a lot, we have our own little newsletter there as well.
We're doing new betas every Friday.
Yep,
So
exactly. There's a lot going on for sure.
always something good.
Yep, and then we have a blog post on member methods for Java streams and functional binding to member methods. So there's a lot of blog posts in there, and Daniel's pacing like crazy to try and keep
I feel
up.
like I'm just spamming the chat. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah,
Sorry.
so there's a lot of cool things in there. But yeah, we both wanted to share those with you. So again, lots going on. And when we miss a couple of weeks, we get a lot of stuff to cover. So hopefully you guys can
We've been,
find
I
some
mean, we've been
interesting.
busy at Ortis, and it's both good and bad, and mostly good. But sometimes the podcast sometimes takes a little longer.
Yep. We'll try and keep moving here. So let's jump to find a job. So on the Get CFML Jobs website, we have one new job listed in the last couple of weeks. So this one is a Cold Fusion developer at Hickam Village. Is that Hawaii?
I think so. HI Hawaii.
Yeah, yeah. So if you guys are looking for a position, it was posted just a couple weeks ago. And so yeah, you can find out more. And again, getcfmljobs.com. You can list your job listings for free as well. So you can post them on there. And it does scrape some different providers. And there's quite a few postings from the last month or so. Got like 17 positions from the last couple of months. So if you're looking, it might be a good spot to go look too.
That might be one of those jobs where you're like, I only want a remote position, but ooh, it's Hawaii. I guess I'll make the sacrifice to go to Hawaii.
Yep. I guess the wife would be pretty happy. Okay. Next up, we have our ForgeBox module of the week. And this week, we're going to be doing the BoxL module, the compat module for CFML. So this one's actually kind of interesting. So obviously BoxL has got a lot of language features, and it's not just a straight replacement for Cold Fusion. So we try to improve and build things from the ground up. But it obviously is compatible with CFML with this module. It even allows you to mimic being Adobe or Lucy. And so you can actually have the engine name. So you can choose your engine that you want to mimic. And then it'll actually run a bunch of built-in functions that BoxL doesn't have, but ColdFusion does have. And so this module, bx-compat-cfml, will allow you to install it and basically and run your ColdFusion code. So
Yeah, our goal is if you want to port over from whatever we're using now to BoxL, you just install this module, put the code in, and it works. And if something doesn't work, let us know, because either we're working on it or we'll help get it fixed.
yep, that's a big part of it, because obviously, we're wanting to take and evolve the language and make it better, drop down to the low levels, get closer to
Have the
Java, and
technology.
yep. So, but obviously we've still got a lot of code and sites and everything that run in ColdFusion, and so this module is important to support those applications and those modules. So, yeah, so that's one for this week. And again,
Yep.
lots of built-in functions in there. Yeah, try it out. Let us know what you need to make it work, so we can keep
We'll
improving.
also shout out if you go to the Box Team Slack and go into the BoxL channel there. I got a lot of people that are out there trying the stuff out, taking their code base and just dropping it in, and some of it works perfectly the first time. Some of it, we're working through it.
Yeah,
But if you want to do this, come. That's another place to go there and post questions and chat with people and see what they've been doing, and it's all good stuff.
yeah, for sure. Okay. Next up, we have our VS Code hint, tip, and trick of the week. And this one, it's one we've covered, but not for quite a long time. And it's actually still my favorite one out of all the comment tools. It's Better Comments. So it's got over 7.5 million installs, and it's 5+ stars, or 5 stars. Oops, not plus, but yeah, 5 stars. And the reason I like it is friendly comments for our code. The cool thing is you can, instead of just doing to-dos like you've probably done before, to do this or whatever, you can actually make your own annotations. So you could use alert or highlights. You could do queries. I've been doing a lot of updates lately for an older code base, and so I've basically tagging everything with review. That way I can go back and review it further in the future. And so basically, when you comment out your code, it can still look nice. It can still look styled. It can still look colorful, get your attention, so that way you can see them. And it works really good with some other tools like To-Do Tree, which will allow you to sort of see a structure of your to-dos and everything else. But yeah, this is a pretty cool little extension. And again, we haven't covered it for quite a while, and it's still one of the ones I use all the time. And so I wanted to share that with those who maybe haven't heard of it yet. So it's called Better Comments.
I hadn't. I just installed it to check it out this afternoon.
Yep, I think it's a really cool one. Like I said, the fact that you can customize and make your own little ones, and you can color them differently, it's pretty neat. So definitely recommend that one. And if you got any VS Code extensions you think we should be using, send them our way, and we'll share them with the group. And because obviously we've done quite a lot of these, and there's a lot of the same extensions get brought up on all those blog posts. So if you got something different, let us know for sure.
Well, sometimes they're updated versions. Sometimes it's just such a good extension that we want to tell you about it again. We love it, and you might not have heard of it yet.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's been about 4 years since we posted this one, so that's kind of crazy when you think about it that way. Okay. Last but not least, we want to thank our Patreon supporters. Without them, we wouldn't be able to do this and everything else that Audis does. So thanks for personally supporting our open source projects. And your funds go to things like CommandBox, ForgeBox, CodeBox, ContentBox, TestBox, BoxL. And basically, a big thing to know is that a big part of your contribution funds the cloud infrastructure that the community relies on. And that's because ForgeBox and our package management with CommandBox, storage and the website itself, all that runs in the cloud, and we need all that to make all our tools work as well as they do. So, you want to find out more? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, as I post the link, I'll say, don't forget we have annual memberships. You pay for the year and save 10%, which is great for everybody. Bronze packages it up. You now get a ForgeBox Pro and CFCast subscriptions as a perk for your subscription. All Patreon supporters have a profile badge on our community website. They also have their own private forum access on the community website, as well as their own private channel access on the Box Team Slack. I'll go ahead and post the community website as well.
Yep, and we got some really cool Patreons again. Like I said, we got 58 right now, I believe. And so we're just going to highlight some of the top Patreons. Since we can't read them all, it'll be too many to list. But we want to thank John Wilson from Synaptrix, Tomorrow's Guides, Jordan Clark, Gary Knight, Giancarlo Gomez, who's in the chat.
He's in the chat.
David Bellinger, who's in the chat. Dan Codd, James Mberg, and Jeffrey McGee from Sunstar Media. We've talked a lot about James Mberg today. We've got Dean Maunder, Kevin Wright, Doug Kane, Nolan Irk, and Abdul Rahim. So we got a lot of good Patreons, and there's just some of the top Patreons here. And again, we try and keep the list up to date on the website. We'll try and make sure that we've updated that. But we have 58 now, so if you want to find out more, you can go to autosolutions.com/about-us/sponsors. And then, yeah, thanks everybody for joining us for this podcast, and hopefully we'll see some of you next week at CF Summit. And for the rest of you, have a great week, and we'll catch up with you soon.
See ya.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Show notes for this episode can be found at cfmlnews.modernizeordie.io, where you can also subscribe to your favorite podcast player like Spotify or iTunes. We also have the link to YouTube to find more videos just like this. The music used in this podcast is under a royalty-free license from Sound.com and Blue Tree Audio.